Are we about to do something? Let's make some noise. Welcome you guys to another episode of the Crypto Show. Oh, are you peeing? Is it possible that he's peeing? Okay. I felt a lot of heat there in my lamp.
He's more trained than most men that I know.
Well, that's why he's. Oh Lord.
Not going to pursue that.
No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave that alone. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show. We got some good stuff today. You know what?
Yes, we do.
Can I just jump right in?
Oh, yeah.
I'm really curious about what the CBDC, is that how you say it?
CBDC.
CBD, okay. What?
Central Bank Digital Currency.
Central Bank Digital Currency.
Yes.
It's really, really crazy. And I'd like you to tell me a little bit about it, but I kind of feel, when I think about the concept of what I know of it, it reminds me of marijuana.
Oh,
Okay. And the reason why I say that is because for years, marijuana was illegal. It was, you can't do it. You're a drudgery of society, or whatever the case is. And then all of a sudden, when they realized that they could make some money from it, then all of a sudden they legalize it. And then, like, the government ties it, if you will, and then now there's that. There's actually people in jail for possessing and holding on to marijuana, and now it's illegal. It's legal, and it's in stores. You can buy it. You can go right, at least here in California and some other states, I do know. You can go. It's right next to Lush. Or you can go to Forever 21 and then walk right on over and get your bud at the same time.
Exactly, and it's totally insane. They need retroactive application of the law.
That's it.
So that when marijuana becomes legal, we decided, hey, we society on the outside decided that this is legal now.
Yes.
So you who got locked up when we did decide it was illegal, you are now out.
Yes.
And that is not happening. They're just forgotten and stuck in there.
And stuck. And that's my knowledge of the law. At least that's what I think is happening. But
that is no good.
But that's not good. And it makes me think of the situation with the central bank. Is that a good analogy? Can you draw the strings?
It's not a bad analogy because marijuana makes you feel really good right at first, and then after that you have a bit of a letdown.
Okay.
And so when you hear that the central bank is coming out with its own version of Bitcoin, you may think, hey, great, this is really cool. And then afterwards you may have a bit of a letdown.
Okay. I thought it was more about them trying to control the Bitcoin world.
No. This is them trying to illegitimately copy the Bitcoin world. And what the central bank digital currency is, the central bank says, look, Bitcoin is getting very, very popular. It's getting a lot of value. It has all these different new features that we want. And Jerome Powell actually said this on tape, that the dollar is going to be losing its reserve currency status unless it adapts to the cryptocurrency landscape. Okay. And Jerome Powell, in case you don't know, is the guy who is in charge of how many dollars get printed. He's the one doing all this inflation. He's the one, and again, just a quick disclaimer. The inflation is not the result of some kind of masterminding conspiracy. It's just a matter of having to please the voters. It's a matter of having to keep the economy running at full tilt all the time. And when you have to do that, you have to keep dumping money into the system. Notice how the stock market always goes up over time. That's not, it's not, oh, look, it's magic, it goes up all the time.
Right.
No. That's because they keep dumping inflationary money. They keep pumping money into the stock market, thinking, oh, this is going to be fine. No one's going to notice 2% inflation a year.
Right.
And would you notice 2% inflation?
No,
you wouldn't.
I would you?
Would you? No.
Yeah.
I mean, would I notice if you took every dollar in my wallet and took 2 cents out of it? Would I notice or care?
No.
No. For 1 year, you wouldn't.
No.
And then next year it's 4 cents. Next year after that it's 8 cents. 90 cents? Whatever. Who cares?
No, I care at that point.
You care at that point.
At that point, I'm invested. I don't want you taking 8 or 9 cents of my dollar. That's not cool.
Now let's start talking about 5 of these, 10 of these, 20 of these. Pretty soon you've wiped out huge chunks of the dollar's purchasing power.
Yeah.
Because you've kept nickel and diming it away.
Right.
on this inflation.
Right.
And that's what Jerome Powell's job is to nickel and dime the dollar's value away on inflation to keep the stock market rolling.
That's good. I'm glad that you're enlightening me. I don't know these things. This is really, really good. When I think about people like Jerome Powell, I think also about the character. Like, who woke up one day and says, I want to be the guy at the nickel and dime the economy. You know what I mean? Like that. Who goes to school for that? What's your degree? What degree is that? The nickel and dime degree.
Yes, the nickel and dime degree is technically called MMT, or Modern Monetary Theory.
Okay.
And modern monetary theory says, look, money is a function of the core GDP.
Okay, yes.
It's not a function of how much money there is, it's a function of the GDP of the nation.
All right. And
So-
to let folks know what the GDP is?
GDP is gross domestic product.
Yes.
So the GDP it's a little bit imaginary because we can't exactly quantify it way down to the last penny, but it's a generic measure of how much a country produces, whether that's entertainment, services, goods, trade, forex, all of it.
Right.
Add it all up, and that's the GDP.
Yeah.
Large countries like the U.S. have a very high GDP.
Right.
Small countries may have less. It's all this.
And poor countries have very little.
Exactly. Poor countries have very little.
By the way, from my little knowledge that I know, I do know or have heard that California, the state that we're in, actually produces a very high amount of the GDP,
yes.
right? Like the 7th highest, perhaps, in the world.
The whole world.
In the whole world.
It's pretty
So
cool.
imagine that. California, we're doing a lot for the world. We're number 7. We could be quite self-sustained, if you will.
Exactly.
So can you tell me this? What is the difference between crypto and CBDC?
The difference is who controls it.
Oh,
Jerome Powell controls any CDBC just like Jerome Powell controls the dollar. So a CDBC is going to be just as inflationary as the US dollar because Jerome Powell is going to say, I have this cryptocurrency now, and now it's great, it's cryptocurrency, I'm going to inflate it. Whereas with Bitcoin, the people control Bitcoin.
okay. All right.
Everyone controls Bitcoin. Anyone who wants to volunteer on the Bitcoin network, whether it has a miner or a node or whatnot, controls Bitcoin.
Okay.
So that is actually, the only difference is who controls it, who sets the rules.
How comfortable do you guys feel having one person, man, woman, child, whatever, controlling so much of where your dollar is, the influence of the dollar, versus people controlling the thing of the dollar? You know, I'm not advocating for one or the other, but I think that it's really interesting on how one person can be in control of that. And really, is it just that one person? What kind of influences does Jerome have? Who's in his ear telling him what he should do? It seems like he's just one guy, but what are his influences that are making him make those decisions? On the flip side, we got a community of individuals, right? They kind of pull it all together. Can you elaborate just a little bit more of like, how can I, as a part of this community, have an influence over the choices that they make with the Bitcoin money?
So if you are a Bitcoin miner, you have a lot of influence.
Okay.
Because you are part of who is actually securing the network and validating these transactions. The trouble is, to be a Bitcoin miner nowadays, you have to have millions of dollars, whole warehouses full of computers. It's a big, huge deal.
Oh.
Now the reason, we'll do a whole separate video on mining.
Okay.
But when you are a Bitcoin miner, when the mining fee spikes up,
Yes.
every 10 minutes, 2,000 people are fighting with themselves to give you more money than the last one.
Okay.
Because this is how the mining fee structure works.
Okay.
If the mining fees go up, you could be getting $60,000 every 10 minutes if you are part of this Bitcoin mining community.
Wow.
So if you're a miner, that's a whole separate deal. How you, as regular old you, can influence Bitcoin is with a regular old computer just like this. You run a Bitcoin node, and once you run a Bitcoin node, you are part of the Bitcoin network. And what that means is you are part of the volunteer community that broadcasts the transaction. So you don't actually secure the network when you're a Bitcoin node.
Right.
You validate the node.
I see.
You are part of the global spanning network. So it's exactly like when you're doing the music downloading. You're doing Kazaa or WinMX or LimeWire or whatever. and you get on there and you put your CD of, you have your,
Thomas Dolby.
Thomas Dolby, there you go.
You know Thomas Dolby?
I don't.
You don't. She blinded me with science. Remember that song? Down, 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 down.
You have to play it because I don't know what it is.
Down, 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 down.
We're gonna have to look this up because I don't know what it is.
Don't bow.
Let's stay with CBDC.
All right, never mind.
Okay, we gotta stay with it. But it's
getting
just,
off
you
topic.
know the song. If you guys know the song, make a comment in there. Enlighten
All
him
right.
on who
Yeah,
Thomas Dolby.
I'm gonna have to know. But anyway, so
You don't have
have
to. You don't have to know.
a Thomas Dolby CD.
Yes, you do have one.
And you are going to put it on there. That is the exact same way. You are contributing to the network.
Okay.
Just
all right.
the same way that LimeWire had every single song, had an entire record store and more.
Yes.
Hard to find music was on LimeWire.
Beautiful, beautiful. And by the way, speaking of hard to find, if you want an elaboration of this whole process, we have another video covering this whole thing.
Yes.
And it's really, really cool because he goes in there and he breaks it down and he actually tells you step by step how to get through it. But all right,
advantage that it had
all right. Let me ask you this question. What is the advantage of CBDC over fiat money? That's my question.
So this depends on the disadvantages for the general public are larger than the advantages. The advantage is, you know how when they did the stimulus a few months ago?
Yeah.
And it took a long time. The IRS had to dig around to find out whose bank account was what to be able to ship out the money and everything.
Yeah.
That was a big pain in that. People were like, I didn't get my stimulus.
Yeah,
it was a big, huge deal.
Yeah.
With this, the government has an account on everybody. They know everyone's information right away. And if they want to do a stimulus, they just snap their fingers and there it is.
Whoa.
There's none of that screwing around with trying to track into people's bank accounts. There's none of that. It's just that they snap their fingers in there.
But how are they able to be so efficient with
Because
this?
your account is not with a private entity anymore, like
Okay.
Wells Fargo or Citibank or whatever. Your account is now with the government. And you could have a separate account with Wells Fargo maybe, but now the government is really controlling your baseline account.
Okay, Nick, I'm going to ask the question. How do you feel about the government controlling the situation? What's your initial feeling, and then what are the realistic pros and cons?
I'm not sure if I'm a fan.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
there are several things that the government could do. They could, not only do they see your accounts, they see all of your transactions. So maybe, just think back even 100 years ago, there was prohibition.
Yeah.
And maybe they could say, hey, we don't like that Stevie is buying a bunch of beer,
Right.
or Nick has bought 8 bottles of vodka or whatever.
Okay,
Maybe we don't like
okay,
that.
all right.
Maybe we're just going to withdraw some money from Nick's account
Oh no.
as a little
Reminder?
slap on the wrist.
Oh no. Oh no.
That's too much vodka, Nick. Come on.
Oh.
We got to stop. We have to stop with
So
it.
you don't like them? They can regulate. You don't like they can't actually judge you for what you're doing. You're just saying
They
the
don't have to.
potential. The potential.
They don't have to judge you. They just have to be able to do a stick and a carrot. Maybe they want to. Encourage a certain lifestyle. Maybe they want you to go to the gym. So if you have a gym membership, they're going to hand you another $50. They're going to pay that for free.
Okay. Well, that's a positive thing.
That is a positive.
If you
thing.
want a healthier nation.
Exactly.
Right, that's good.
That could be a pro.
And then what's the negative?
The negative is there is no financial privacy left, because what this really means is getting rid of cash.
Getting rid of cash.
No paper cash. It's all just credit cards and digital dollar and everything. Eventually, they could just get rid of that. So that means zero financial privacy. Means you can't keep anything to yourself anymore, because the government can just look. They can look in there at that point without a warrant.
Right.
Because at least now they have to go to Wells Fargo and say, hey, Wells Fargo, we want to get in Stevie's account because of X.
Now
We
this
have
is
to
what
actually have a
this is
criminal.
what I'm curious about, because I want to get into the psychology just a little bit about people and how they change their behavior when they know they're being watched. Now I know in Japan, I know that they have things where people's behavior, once you know you're being watched, you actually behave better. So maybe that is a positive thing. I personally, you can go through my bank account and there's nothing that's going to be too shocking in there. Let me just think.
Exactly.
let me just see if there's anything in there. I feel pretty good about it, but I've never really been in a situation where I wanted to hide what I purchased. And let's just say I at 1:30 in the morning purchased excessively large vibrator. Let's just say I did that. Whatever 1:30 in the morning made me do, they wanted to do that, right?
You were sleep deprived.
You're right. I needed that in my life. Let's just say that happened. And then, okay, so if somebody wants to go through my account and see that I made that purchase, I don't know who's going to be more embarrassed, the person looking at it or I. But the question I'm trying to get to is the transparency so bad? I really don't. Is there a way that you can make it like, make me transparent or keep me, like check a box? Because I personally don't mind so much people all up in there, but I don't want it to be mandatory.
Exactly.
That's the problem. I think that's what we're getting to.
Because once you have this kind of constantly surveilled population, eventually you get to be China, and we don't really want to be China.
Okay.
That's getting real close.
All right.
So some people are well, you can see everyone's transactions on Bitcoin though.
Okay, that's the flip.
You can, technically. I mean, if you happen to know someone's public key, that it belongs to so-and-so, you can see every transaction they ever made.
Right.
If you know that public key. So it's kind of halfway there. It's kind of pseudo-anonymous.
Right.
There are these money laundry cryptos, like Zcash and Monero and some of the other ones that they have some complicated math in there that make it so you cannot, even as the government, everything's encrypted. So the money gets sent, but you can't tell who sent it unless you're the sender.
Right. Okay.
Or the recipient.
All right. So this is another area. I'm glad you brought that up. That could be exercise for nefarious activity, which is those who need the laundry money and whatnot. This is where this comes in. Okay. So I'm not thinking in that particular level. You got, you know what I mean? But
it's just a matter of how much privacy do we as a society want to grant ourselves, and how much control do we as a society want to grant the government? Because if you grant yourselves too much privacy, then the police cannot knock on the door of bad actors and keep everyone safe.
Yeah.
And if you give people not enough privacy, then you get to be China. And we have to kind of find somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And in general, that's been the Fourth Amendment. The police can come knock down your door as long as they go to a presumed reasonable judge and say, we have this evidence that Stevie is...
No.
No, you don't have that evidence. All right, we have evidence that Nick is engaged in some kind of is
you putting yourself on the line?
Smuggling drugs here.
Oh no, don't do that.
Okay,
that's someone.
Someone out there.
Someone. Is there someone that you don't like that you would like to? You don't have to mention their name.
Never mind.
Okay. But so
Newt Gingrich, for example.
Okay.
Let's put Newt Gingrich on the line.
Okay.
Newt Gingrich has been doing some money laundering, and we want the police to go after Newt Gingrich, because why wouldn't you want the police to go after Newt Gingrich? No matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, you probably want the police to go after Newt Gingrich. So Newt Gingrich has slipped up and let some evidence out that he's been doing money laundering and been taking a lot of bribes. Not that you can't take bribes anyway, it's called lobbying, but that's a whole deal.
It's another.
That's another deal. Yeah. So
they go to Newt's.
They go to Newt's house and they can knock on the door as long as they get a warrant.
Okay.
Newt has privacy as long as there's not a reasonable suspicion that a presumed reasonable judge would not say, we are going to take Newt's privacy.
Right. All right.
And we have those same rules for everybody.
Okay. Well, that's a good safeguard that we have in there. So okay.
It's a reasonable compromise.
Right.
And once you start screwing around with these central bank digital currencies, all that's taken away. Because the central bank can then look in everyone's account all the time, unless you're using Bitcoin, but they can look in everyone's account. They could charge different tax rates for different items on demand. Let's say they wanted to charge certain things with a higher tax rate, certain things with a lower tax rate, because they want to stimulate certain behavior or punish other behavior. They want to implement some sticks and carrots.
Right. So if I wanted to buy, let's say, an electric car, they might give me some kind of benefits or whatnot. But if I want to have some bacon, and they're like, no, we don't like you eating bacon. then I
Exactly.
can get penalized.
You're going to get penalized. Exactly. And on the one hand, if you think climate change is a big deal, you may think that these are good.
Okay.
You may want these sticks and carrots. But other people say, hey, don't touch my bacon.
Yeah.
Don't make me wait 2 hours to fill up my car with whatever.
Right,
because
exactly.
Not everyone wants that. And that's just kind of the difference between the China model of having central command decide what is good and what is bad for you, and having a free society where you decide what is good and what is bad for you.
Interesting. Now, Nick is more versed on what's happening over there in China, so I don't know really how it's going, but it sounds restrictive.
It is.
And with that, as we put a button on this particular episode, where are we at with this whole thing? Where are you at with it? Where are we? What is this? Is this good? Is this something that's going to be good for us? Let us know what you think, and also, we're gonna. All right, so you right there, you feel as good about this as you do about the Deutsche or the Dutch.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Because it's going to be the same thing. Because they're going to keep inflating and inflating and inflating. It's not going to be any real different than the dollar. It's just going to be a different version of the dollar. And if it comes at a certain point where the regular dollar starts getting a lot of inflation, they may even have a different value to it.
Oh, wow.
So that this is where it gets real dicey.
Yeah.
You have a new dollar, central bank dollar, digital dollar, that is at a different rate than the hugely inflated dollar.
Right.
So that people who are on the hugely
And then now it
inflated
can go
dollar,
in a whole bunch of different angles.
now we have a whole bunch of direction, and people are going to lose a lot of money.
Okay, so there it is. That is what's happening with the CBDC.
There it is.
And I just want to say this: as far as I don't know, I kind of represent the average investor, the novice out there. So, in my opinion, I'm a little bit hesitant. It's kind of new. It sounds like it could be used for not necessarily unscrupulous, but it doesn't sound like it's something for me. I'm going to stick for now. I'm going to stick with the inflating dollar.